The New York Times says the charges include wire fraud and bank fraud, which means SBF could be looking at life in prison. In November, FTX and its affiliates, roughly 130 companies, filed for bankruptcy after investors fled the cryptocurrency exchange on fears that FTX no longer had sufficient capital. In other words, it was the crypto equivalent of a bank run.
Hello and welcome back to Cryptollennium. We're coming in with some breaking news. Earlier this evening, Bahamian authorities arrested SBF Sam Bankman-Fried at the request of the U.S. government. Based on a sealed indictment filed by the SDNY, we expect to move to unseal the indictment in the morning, and we'll have more to say at that time. For those of you who don't know, SDNY is the Southern District New York attorney. They handle big lawsuits and kind of big fish stuff. So this is going to be interesting as this unfolds. So it unfolds further. Just in, the U.S. government charges SBF with money laundering, wire fraud, and securities fraud, New York Times reports. So I'm assuming that's what the sealed indictment holds, is details regarding things of that matter. With that said, SBF was just arrested in the Bahamas by the Royal Bahamas Police Force, faces likely extradition. In a statement from the Attorney General of the Bahamas, on the 12th of December, the Office of the Attorney General of the Bahamas is announcing the arrest by the Royal Bahamas Police Force of SBF, former CEO of FTX. SBF's arrest followed receipt of formal notification from the United States that it has filed criminal charges against SBF and is likely to request his extradition. The Bahamas and the United States have shared interest in holding accountable all individuals associated with FTX. While the U.S. is pursuing criminal charges against SBF individually, the Bahamas will continue its own regulatory and criminal investigations into the collapse of FTX. All in all, this is what we were hoping to see, and hopefully justice is served and some, if not all, funds are recovered. In addition to this, and I don't know if this is just a rumor or if it's going to be confirmed eventually, but members of the inner circle of power at FTX formed a group chat called Wire Fraud, and we're using it to send secret information about operations in the lead up to the economy's spectacular failure. What's funny about this is that you just scroll past this and think it's just another, conspiracy theory, but all of a sudden you scroll down a little too far and you see that SBF himself responded to this and said, if this is true, then I wasn't a member of that inner circle. I'm quite sure it's just false. I've never heard of such a group. This is weird because if it's just a conspiracy theory, why would he comment on it? Those of us who are curious as to who or what the inner circle is, it comprises of these individuals right here. I can only name a few right off top. We have Carolyn Ellison. We have Dan Friedberg. Keep him on your radar. He is actually, he's well known to be involved in such cases like this. And then a couple of other people who may look innocent, may look like, just kids, but unfortunately they're not. And to leave this off on a positive or interesting note, Benjamin Cohen, a popular YouTuber, prompted OpenAI's AI software to write a poem about SBF, the CEO of FTX, who was arrested in the Bahamas for wire fraud. And it goes as follows. In the land of sun and sea, SBF thought he was the king. He ran his company with a steady hand and made a fortune, or so he planned. But greed and lust for power led him down a dark and dreary hour. He schemed and plotted, cut a few corners, and in the end, he was caught red-handed. Wires crossed and deals gone sour. His fate was sealed, his future dour. He thought he was untouchable, above the law, but now he sits in a cold, stark cell in the Bahamas, far from home, reflecting on the choices he made, so unwell. No longer the master of his domain, just another inmate with a number and a name. His fall from grace, a cautionary tale of what can happen when we let greed prevail. In the world of finance, no one is safe, and now he pays the price behind bars, a lonely man with nothing but his scars. And that, my friends, is today's episode. Catch us tomorrow for more updates. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe.